All right, so let's dive into something pretty fascinating. I want you to think about this. What if we could farm and grow forests on the exact same piece of land? I know, it sounds kind of impossible, right? But it turns out it's an ancient practice with a modern name, and it might just be a huge part of the solution to some of our biggest environmental challenges.
You know, for the longest time, we've basically been told we have to make a choice, a really tough one. Do we clear land for farms so we can feed everybody, or do we protect our forests to keep the planet healthy? It's always been framed as this either-or battle.
And this really breaks it down, right? On one side, you've got agriculture. I mean, it's the foundation of how we eat. And on the other, you have forests, literally the lungs of our planet, essential for clean air, clean water, a stable climate. For so long, it's just seemed like a zero-sum game.
But here's the thing. What if we've been looking at this all wrong? What if the answer isn't about choosing between farms and forests, but actually combining them?
And that's where this incredible idea comes in, agroforestry. Now, it's way more than just, sticking a few trees on a farm. No. It's a whole system, deliberately designed, where trees and shrubs are integrated with crops or livestock, all meant to work together.
And look, this isn't some rigid, one-size-fits-all thing. It's super flexible. It can mean weaving trees in with crops, or having them in pastures where animals graze, or even managing coastal mangroves for fisheries. The whole point is that every single piece of the puzzle is designed to work together in synergy.
Okay, so what's the big deal? Why is this so exciting? Well, this is where it gets really, really cool. We're not talking about a compromise here, not a trade-off. We're talking about creating a win-win. Actually, more like a win-win-win. It's good for people, good for the planet, and good for the bottom line.
Just look at this. This gives you a taste of the incredible range of benefits, what scientists call ecosystem services. Think of it this way. It's not just the stuff you can see and harvest, like food or wood. It's also all that invisible, vital work that nature does for free, like keeping the climate stable, cleaning our water, and building up rich, healthy soil. So what does all that actually mean on the ground? Well, for farmers, it can mean making more money from a wider variety of products, which makes them way more resilient. It means healthier soil. And for the environment, you get more wildlife, better protection from crazy weather, and it's a huge tool for fighting climate change by pulling carbon right out of the atmosphere. Let me give you a few real-world examples of how this works. It's actually pretty brilliant. So you've got a problem with cattle damaging the forest? Okay, you plant special fodder trees right there in the pastures for them to eat. Your soil is worn out and crop yields are dropping. You plant specific trees that literally pull nitrogen from the air and put it back in the soil as free fertilizer. It's all about elegant, targeted, nature-based solutions. Okay, this all sounds fantastic, right? But how do you actually do it? How do you make something like this happen out there in the real world? Well, let's look at the blueprint, because this isn't just a hopeful dream. There's a well-defined strategy behind it.
It turns out there's a really clear playbook for this. Successful projects follow a cycle. You start with careful planning, then you move to implementation with the community leading the way, and then, and this part's absolutely critical, you monitor and evaluate how it's going. That last step creates a feedback loop, so you're always learning, always adapting, and always getting better. It's not a one-and-done deal.
But here's maybe the most important piece of the whole puzzle. You can have the best scientific plan in the world, but if you don't have the deep knowledge and the active participation of the local communities themselves, it's just not going to work. Real, lasting success grows from the ground up. And this is exactly what that looks like. So picture this, a community in Guatemala, not waiting for some outside group to come in, but building their very own tree nursery. They're taking ownership from the very first seed. That right there, that ownership from day one, that's the secret sauce.
And while it all starts on the ground, it doesn't stop there. To really make a big impact, you need everyone working together. You need a whole network. The farmers, local groups, scientists, governments, even international organizations, all pulling in the same direction.
All right, so let's pull back for a second. What does this all add up to? What's the big picture here? Well, it's nothing less than planting a more resilient future for all of us.
Look, if there's one thing to take away from all of this, it's this really simple but incredibly powerful idea. By putting trees back into our farmlands, we're not just sticking trees in the ground. We are fundamentally redesigning our farms to be living, breathing ecosystems that are more productive, more resilient, and can actively help heal our planet.
And that really leaves us with a huge question to think about. For all of history, we've asked our farms to do one thing: feed us. But what if,
Just by changing how we farm, we could ask them to help heal the planet too.